Goodness gracious.
Yes, sir, how are you?
I'm good. You're not getting lost down there, eh?
No.
Hey, I'm good. How you doing? Good to see you. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. You in charge here?
Yes, sir. I just want to start by thanking everybody for being here, Senator Thompson, and also the legislators standing behind me, and the members of the press, and all those that are out here to support the next President of the United States, and that's Newt Gingrich. We're just excited to be a part of the campaign. We look forward to having Speaker Gingrich the President of the United States because we believe that he provides common sense, conservative solutions like lowering spending, reducing the size of government, balancing the budget, and creating jobs that America needs to really transform this country and bring it back to the fundamental principles with which we stand. And I'd like to just pause to welcome Senator Fred Thompson once again. He's no stranger to us, no stranger to America, whether it's his great performance and strong stand for states' rights and for conservative principles in the United States Senate, whether it's his acting career, his run for president. He knows what Speaker Gingrich is going through like nobody else. And I just got finished hearing him in his remarks a few minutes ago over there doing a function for Secretary of State Brian Kemp, and it was refreshing to have Senator Thompson as a great leader. He also had a chance to meet with Governor Nathan Deal, who's one of the, I believe, the first governor to support Newt Gingrich for President of the United States, and we're thrilled to have the governor's support. Obviously, he's a longtime friend of the Speaker. Senator Thompson, we've got a bunch of things here. We'd like to give you your official Newt Gingrich t-shirt if you don't already have one. I'm sure that you'll wear it well on the next...
That looks like it would fit me or you.
Or maybe one or two of us here. Both of us all together. That is a good size t-shirt. Right. Maybe you can wear it on your next do your next movie that we were talking about. With that, we're thankful that you're here, and just like to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just a couple of comments, and then we'll open her up. Good to be back in God's country. Got a lot of friends here, and always feel good when I'm in Georgia. The way most of us today view these candidates, I think, depends on how we view our country. I know that's the way I feel. I think our country is in deep trouble. I think that we're at a tipping point. We're in danger of not being able to recognize our country here in a few years, economically and a lot of other ways. I'm greatly concerned, have been for a long time, and things are getting worse instead of better. I think we're going to need leadership that is bold, unafraid, not timid, who understands the frustrations and concerns of the American people and who can articulate those concerns and stand strong for the things he believes. The worst thing we could do as a Republican Party, or more importantly as a nation, is to elect someone who is not able to do those things and stand strong and stand tall and know what he believes and have a disaster happen on the next president's watch. That's why I support Newt Gingrich. This is not the time for an uncertain trumpet. This is not a time for the timid. It's not time for someone who operates off the basis of talking points. This is not the time to concentrate on assimilating a lot of data or PowerPoints. This is time for fundamental change. And if we don't, we're going to be in big trouble in this country. I think Newt is the man to do that. And I watched him. I came to Washington in 1994, first part of 1995, in part because of him. Because of the revolution, political revolution, really, that he conceived of and he led. And we were able to balance the budget 4 years in a row, pass welfare reform, rebuild a military that had been going downhill, much like it is going to be today. And things that they didn't think could be done at that time. When I look at Newt's public career, I see one of strength, sometimes controversy, hurts some people's feelings, evidently, sometimes. He never did hurt my feelings. I always appreciated strong leadership. I didn't come to Washington to make friends. And I guess I've proven that I didn't. Times are serious now in this country. We need serious, strong, forceful, committed leadership who's more interested in what is going to turn our country around than he is in just winning an election or fulfilling some childhood dream. That's why I support Newt and be happy to take any questions anybody has.
But we happy to wear this one, but we thought that might be more appropriate.
Little as I am.
Senator,
Yes,
I
sir.
think that the polls in the last few days in Florida have shown, speaking here, slipping a little bit behind Governor Romney. What would you attribute that to, and is there time before next Tuesday for him to turn that back again?
I don't even know that that's the case. I think I saw one could be. I've been on the road. It's very close. There's no question about that. Mitt Romney's had great success with the utilization of almost unlimited money in his political career, except for the elections that he's lost. But in his presidential pursuit, he's done quite well up until now. He outspent Newt 2-1 in South Carolina, and it'll take a while for the numbers to come in from Florida, but he's inundated the state. He's tried to hire everybody he could and spend as much money as the airwaves would allow down there. So, and of course, he was the anointed front runner for a long, long time. And there's quite a bit of panic that's set in among their candidacy. So all those things coming together, it certainly doesn't shock me that he's going to be running a strong race down there. But it's, you know, it seems to me like it's neck and neck, and it's anybody's race to win. We've got a debate, of course, tonight, and that'll probably have some impact on it too.
You mentioned the amount of money that Governor Romney is spending, and a lot of it has been to run commercials that question the mental stability of Gingrich, calling him erratic, reckless, whatever. Would you just comment on that? Do you consider that a fair characterization?
No. I think that that obviously some people who have worked with Newt have had some disagreements with him, who had some personality differences with him, and other things. I don't know about all that. They'll have to speak to that themselves. All I know is that success has 1,000 fathers and defeat is an orphan. And when they were winning elections, when they were taking over the government, those personality differences didn't seem to weigh very heavy. When they started losing seats that they thought that they should win, well, people got a little bit discombobulated. I'm not saying that answers everything, but that's the general dynamic. I've watched Newt now through what, 18, 19 debates? In the first place, if you remember, before people got panicky and started spending millions of dollars on negative ads, Newt was the only guy up there who was acting like a statesman, had nothing negative to say about anything, about any of his colleagues on the stage. And throughout all these debates, including the last one, he stood there and let Mitt Romney commit serial misrepresentation. No way that you can begin to answer that in the format that he laid it on, and of course Romney knew that, his advisors, and took it in good humor and all that. Pete, the ability to brand your political enemies with a stereotype and have the media play that out. And every time it gets repeated a little more authoritative. Is not insignificant. But you know what can overcome that? It's elections. And that's what happened in South Carolina. You had the governor going around doing that. You had powerful figures from Washington, D.C. You had the news media. You had the talking heads on CNN and Fox and all of those all in the same direction. Well, is it the old Newt or the bad Newt or the good Newt or whatever it is, whatever the stereotypes is. Stereotype that I never saw and I haven't seen in this last campaign. Mm-hmm. And the people of South Carolina, you know, those radicals will elect radicals like Bob Dole and John McCain, George W. Bush, took a look at that and said, baloney. And Newt won every demographic in the state except those who had postgraduate degrees and had incomes over $200,000. So, you know, that's the answer to me. It's easy to call somebody a name, but when it comes down to close examination by the people who are fair-minded and objectively looking for somebody to support, it's quite a different matter. And that's what's happening now. And that's why the establishment is panicked. Yes, sir.
Just from a practical standpoint, given the fact that Newt Gingrich is not going to be on so many of the ballots in many of the states in the country like Virginia, D.C., I think some reports have said as many as 500 delegates he may not be able to even be available to vote for.
Well, 2 states are all I know about, but there may be others, I don't know.
Do you think, how do you think he'll still be able to win the nomination given that many delegates not even be accessible for him?
What are those delegates? 1% or 2% of the delegates or something? I don't know. It's a small amount. It's a very small amount. Yes, sir.
Tennessee's Super Tuesday too, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes.
You could have planned to work for him back there?
Yeah.
Because between us and Tennessee, Virginia's going to, and he's not going to ballot then, but in Texas move. If you look down the road to March 6th, do you see Georgia and the South in particular playing a big role for Newt on Super Tuesday?
Yeah, I think the commentators probably have it about right. I think right after Florida, you've got Nevada and Michigan.
In Arizona.
Both in Arizona, both those first 2 are home ground for Mitt, and he'll obviously carry those. Then before long, you get to Super Tuesday, and that's going to be very good for Newt.
Thanks, Senator.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
For the 70 or 80% of the Republican electorate that is looking for a non-Romney, how would you distinguish Newt from, say, Senator Santorum or Representative Paul?
Well, gosh, you've covered a lot of territory there. Newt has a proven track record. People like to talk about things that he has said and statements he's made and opinions he's given when he was in private life. When he was like me, a lot of other people, I guess, doing some consulting and doing other. In Newt's case, he writes a lot of books. He makes a lot of speeches. He's an expert in healthcare and a lot of other issues. And he tells you what his opinion is. Some of those opinions are just his opinions, and people go by through there and pick and choose, and every once in a while they'll run across one and say, Newt will say, yeah, you're right. I think that was pretty dumb on my part, and I don't really feel that way anymore. But for the most part, it's a broad array of stuff. While others who may have been running for president since high school carefully parse their way, and when they're running in a liberal northeastern state, they're liberal and northeastern. And when they get halfway through their term, they, become conservative. And Newt is just Newt. But if you look at his public, look at the contract with America. Nobody's talking about that. Tell me his signature document of his entire career, his contract with America. Somebody tell me what part of that they don't like. Got most of it passed. Term limits they didn't, to my chagrin. But, and the balanced budget and the welfare reform and all these other things, his proven public record in service. Secondly, you folks know better than I do. He is uniquely qualified to carry the mail. He is uniquely qualified to tap into what's going on in this country. People are scared. People are concerned. People are organizing in communities all around this country for the first time, going out into the street peacefully, for the first time saying, you know, we want our country back, and we're not going to allow you to bankrupt us as a nation. And he's uniquely situated to express and represent those frustrations and lead the people. And you know, what members of Congress are going to get their feelings hurt or in their district might be better off with Newt or Mitt or all that kind of stuff. You know, that's vitally important. But the future of the United States of America is more important than that. And if he has the people behind him, these folks will be behind him too. And I think he's uniquely qualified. People talk about his debating skills, and he's the best I've ever seen. People talk about him being able to take something like that ridiculous so-called State of the Union address, which was no more the State of the Union address than his slogan on this T-shirt, and break that down and say, Mr. President, why, at a time of these dire circumstances, are you concentrating on dividing the American people? How much money are you going to get from soaking the rich, just the way you want to? Let's assume you get everything that you want and it doesn't affect the economy adversely. Make all those assumptions. How much is that going to contribute towards the debt? On and on and on. Got a few questions for you, Mr. President. Uniquely qualified to do that. And when they come at him and they will, with $1 billion worth, regardless who it is. Who's going to be able to stand in the gale and withstand that? That to me is no reflection on anybody else. I served with Rick Santorum. I think a lot of him. I think he's done a great job, but he's not going to be a nominee this year. He's got a great future in the party. But that distinguishes Newt from anybody else in my estimation. If that's all, then I'll thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Senator.
And go for it.
Thank you all for being here. These legislators stand with Newt in just a small representation of the over 60 elected officials, many of which have walked door to door already. And thank you all for being here. Hope you have a good afternoon.